And on the wall, you got this long tunnel that you have to walk through when you go into the yard or when you go into the visit room. It's a long tunnel that was on this joint, like an old cave. It's hard to explain. It's like put you in the days of like you looking at some old movie, you know, like back set in England or somewhere. This big brick tunnel we had to walk through. It was dreary and dark, but you actually had to walk through it with no security or anything. But they was like Sam was supposed to come out on the yard, you know, and work out one day, and the dudes was plotting to get him. So they knew he had to come through the tunnel because he come work out every day. So it was two guys, and they was plotting to get him, man. And when he went through the tunnel, they supposedly, you know, had ran down on him while he was in the tunnel, man. And they stabbed him in the back, and they bagged up, and he turned around and looked at him and saw it was two of them, and he just growled at him and yelled like, "Rah!" You know, and reached for his back and saw blood, and it was like he went at them, and they just turned around and ran the other way, and he just stopped chasing them, turned around, went out on the weight pal, and worked out, man, with the hole in him and everything. And the dudes was so scared that they didn't kill him, and they knew they was gonna have to pay for it, that they ended up checking in, you know, the hole, which is segregation, you know, like they left the compound. Or more or less, that's what checking in means. You go to the administration, you tell them you don't feel safe out here no more, you need to be in lockup, you need to be in protective custody or whatever. And that's what they did. They left the compound because they knew they was gonna have to deal with Sam. And that was something that they didn't want to deal with, because more than likely, they probably wouldn't even be here today, you know, because like I say, Sam was not playing, man. He would take you up off of this earth. It didn't matter to him, he didn't care. I never knew how much time he actually had, because like I say, that's something that dudes in prison don't talk about. I never knew what his actual crime was. I just knew his penitentiary reputation was impeccable, you know what I'm saying, and notorious and vicious. And that's all you needed to know, because if you dealing with him, this is what you need to know. Not what he did to get here, not, you know, anything else. You need to know this, because this is what you're gonna be dealing with. And like I said, I heard all types of rumors like that, man. I heard him playing cards, and the police had came to break the game up, and he didn't want the game broke up, and he told him just hold on for a minute and the game would be over. Just give him 5 minutes. And the police was one of the mean ones, and he started snatching the cards up. He said, when I say it's time to go, it's time to go. And they said, man, Sam raised up, man, and just grabbed him and slammed him down to the ground and pulled the knife out and started stabbing him, you know. And fortunately he didn't die, but it was like he was really, really messed up. And they said Sam just got up while he was laying down there bleeding, and Sam just got up and sat back at the table and told everybody, don't leave. Don't nobody move. We gonna finish this hand. We gonna finish playing this hand. You know, so dudes was just sitting there shaking and didn't know what to do, and they playing and they gambling. But they were scared to leave because Sam they had just witnessed all of this craziness. And then Sam telling them, you know, you ain't going nowhere. We gonna finish this hand. There's money on this hand. We gonna finish this. And they just like, you know, deer in headlights. So they playing and everything. Then the police come rushing and bum rushing, coming in and everything. Lock Sam up. I heard he got extra time for that. You know, whether it went down exactly like that, I don't know. That's the story that I heard the most. But I do know it's some truth to it, if not all. But it was some type of variation where it went down like that, where they tried to interrupt one of them card games that Sam was playing in, and one of them got, you know, viciously hurt, you know, messing with Sam. And that's another thing. That was one of his greatest passions. That's what he was known for. And he was known for boxing, and he was known for gambling. He loved gambling, man. I mean, he gambled all the time. Poker, dice, a game we got in penitentiary called Skin, Georgia Skin, with the cards. And he loved to gamble. You would see him, if he wasn't working out all day, he would be gambling. And back then, when you gambled in prison, it was just like a fraternity of dudes that gamble. Everybody who gambled, they all ran in the same circle. Everybody's trying to win the money that's on the compound, whichever amount of money was on the compound. You know, dudes had cash money secretly, and, you know, commissary or whatever, cigarettes. But everybody's trying to win everybody money, you know, like a baby casino, you know. So every day certain dudes meet on the yard at certain places just to gamble. And Sam was one of the biggest gamblers. So at some point in time when you gambling in prison, you talking about control environment. So you're talking about probably 700-800 people at the most, you know, on the whole compound. So you're talking about the ones that gamble, you probably narrowing that down to maybe 100-200 people. So if you got 200 people at one point in time, if y'all gamble against each other every day at one point in time, or not certain amount of people, if not one or two or a couple of people, gonna have all the money. And they say Sam used to end up winning all the money sometime, and then no one can gamble. So everybody, all the gamblers coming out every day trying to gamble, but they can't because they ain't got no money. They waiting for people to send them some money. They waiting to get a check, or they waiting to do something, but ain't nobody got no money. And now this the good part about Sam. This is how good his heart was, because I've seen him do this. I had heard it then, but before I really got to know him, but I later on in my bit, I've actually seen Sam do this, whereas he don't want all the money on the compound, and he's so bored because he can't gamble. He would get all of the gamblers out on the yard, and he would distribute money out to them just to gamble, so he can have somebody to gamble with. He might give everybody that gambles on that yard to use to gamble with him. He may give all of them $150, $200 and tell them to come to the game, and we gonna gamble, man. We gonna gamble. Yeah, that's the type of guy he was, man. Like I try to tell y'all, man, penitentiary is a different world. You got different people, man. It's just like a crazy world. It's like you would not understand this type of stuff if you wasn't in it, you know. And when you're in it, it seems normal. But now when I'm like on this other side, I can look at some of this stuff and say, man, it was just an insane life and an insane type of way of living that I have experienced and I have seen. But Sam, like I said, his reputation, man, in prison was bigger than life. You got a lot of dudes, they got reputations for whatever reasons. You got some people who got some unearned reputations. You got people who got fictitious reputation. Sam Pitt's reputation was far from any of that. He was real. He was the real deal. And if you mess with him, you literally had your life on the line. And you know, you was fortunate if he liked you. Very fortunate. Whether you was an officer or an inmate, you was fortunate if he liked you, because he wasn't scared of anybody or anything, not even the administration. And in my experience, the administration was terrified of him because they knew his capabilities. They knew his fearlessness. They knew he didn't care. What can you do to him? He never felt like he was getting out. He felt like he had nothing to lose. He was a force to be reckoned with. He would kill if need be. He would maim. He would hurt you. So what do you do with a person like that? And he was capable of all these things because he was a big physical specimen as well. So they really used white gloves when they was dealing with him, man. They used them. And there was a few cats that I ran across during my time, man, that they used white gloves with, but he was definitely one of them, you know, if not the top one. But yes, and I was fortunate enough too to see him work out and box, man, and he was really, really nice, man. And now that, you know, the things that I know about boxing, and you know, if y'all know me, y'all know that's one of my biggest passions. I really believe, you know, if the opportunity had presented itself back in them days, man, he would have been a real force to be reckoned with. This was back in the Tyson days too, but he was a formidable opponent, man. He was a formidable opponent. He was big and strong, man. I wish, man, I did. I had some pictures of him, man, and I don't have them anymore, man. I had some pictures of him when we was on the same boxing team and we was working out. I had pictures of him, his shirt off. You could see how big he was. I had pictures of him with the jump rope and things like that. But unfortunately, like I said, man, the administration ain't care nothing about him because they were scared of him, and dudes were scared of him, so you know they secretly wished him, you know, bad ill will, but they just wouldn't say it. But you know, unfortunately, man, Sam, man, he ended up catching lupus. You know, I don't know if you catch it or you inherit it or whatever, but he ended up, you know, having lupus, and if you know, that's a disease, you know, that deteriorates the body. You know, now, unfortunately, only thing I knew about lupus was I actually had a cousin, a female cousin that was diagnosed with lupus, and she was like 20, if that. And once she was diagnosed, I think she passed away within a year. You know, that is a vicious disease, man, and it affects people in different ways. So I remember hearing something about it. They were saying like the life expectancy of someone diagnosed with lupus, especially a serious case of lupus, is less than a couple of years, man, if that. Sam was so big and so strong, man, when he was diagnosed with that lupus, man, that he actually lived 20-something years more with that lupus. And I'm talking about his body was deteriorating. You know, it was just sad to see, man. I ran into him years later. He had, oh man, he probably had like 5 fingers combined on both his hands. He weighed probably 110 pounds. He was on a cane. He had lost most of his teeth. And he had most of his toes was cut off, and he was just, you know, slugging around the penitentiary, man, on a cane, moving real slow. And if you didn't know him or you didn't know about who he was, you would walk right by him and just not even know who he was or acknowledge that it was actually Sam, man. You know, the legend, the myth, himself. You know, Sam Pitts, the Rock, man. So it was heartbreaking to dudes like me and other dudes who knew him and knew about him, and to see him like that. But his spirits was always up. He always talked. He was cool, man. And you know, I was around him for a little bit when he was like that. So I used to always, you know, help him and give him things that he need, or, you know what I'm saying, ask him, did he need me to go get something for him or whatever. Because he was a really good dude, man. Regardless of what his reputation was. If you actually knew him, he was a good dude. And I actually got to know him, you know, with the boxing and stuff. So he was a really good dude, man. And that viciousness never left him, though. It may have left his body because his body deteriorated and everything, but his mentality was still that of a warrior, a killer, you know. Because I remember he was still gambling in. He was still hunching with his cane, going to the gambling games and getting in the games. And, you know, he might see me or other people that knew him and respected him, and he might say, oh, Banky, man, let me get $20, man, so I could go gamble, man. You know, and if I had it, I gave it to him, you know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of other people did, because they just, you know, they wanted to see him, you know, just enjoy whatever life he had left, man. Because like I said, you could look at him and see that he was deteriorating because he was just so small and frail. But he still had the spirit and the energy enough to get up every day and come out there and walk that yard, man, which was, you know, a testament to his fortitude. But his killer instinct, like I say, never left, because I remember he was in a game, a gambling game one day, and they said some little young dude, man, about 20 years old, got mad because he was moving real slow and said, you know, man, won't you carry your little old self on up out of here, man? Old crippled self, man, you need to get on up out here. You know, you're holding up the game. So, man, they say Sam looked at him, man, and had tears in his eyes, because he's like, man, if you would never talk to me like that, man, if I was younger. And the dude was like, well, I don't care what you was. I'm telling you now, you ain't nothing but an old man. Get up out here. And then the other dudes came to his defense, was like, man, you don't even know who you talking to, man. You better leave that man alone, young blood, man. You don't know who this dude is. I don't care. You better leave him alone, man. Don't say nothing else to him. But tell him to get on, woo, woo, woo. But other people was trying to let him know, man, you wouldn't even been able to get half of them words out of your mouth if this man was who he used to be, you know. But life and the disease then deteriorated his, you know, his being. So he had it in his heart, but he just couldn't physically do it no more. But what I mean to tell you was that he still had that killer instinct in him. They said Sam was so hurt by that he had went somewhere, and whoever that fool was, you know who you are, gave Sam a knife, man. Even if he's sick and hurt like that, they gave Sam a knife. And they said Sam was out there the next morning at breakfast, waiting outside the door for that young boy to come out. And he was going to try his best with his little fingers missing and everything to stab that dude, man, just because he felt that disrespected. And he's not used to being disrespected by nobody, you know. So that's what I mean when I say the warrior mentality. Your body can deteriorate, but your mind is always going to be who you are. That's the same thing when you go into prison. You know, they taking your freedom and they anticipate you to just fall apart, to lose yourself, especially when you have sentences like I have. But your mind has to be your greatest weapon, man. Your mind has to tell you that you are somebody and that you will survive. And if your mind don't tell you that, then everything else your mind tell you is what you're gonna follow. You follow your mind, you know. And he followed his mind, that he knew that his body was deteriorating, but he still was a killer, and he feel like he still should be respected at all times. And that's how he was. And it took some older dudes seeing him out there and knowing what he was getting ready to do, and was like, Sam, what you doing out here this early, man? He was like, man, that young boy, he don't talk to me like that, man. He don't know who he talk to. And man, they had to talk Sam out of what he was getting ready to do. Come on, Sam, man, we're gonna give you some money, man. We going gamble. Don't worry about that young boy, man. Somebody else gonna take care of him, Sam. Leave him alone. Don't worry about it. But he talked to me. Don't worry about it, Sam. But that was in his heart, man. He couldn't shake that, you know. And those are some of the demons that follow you when you've been in prison. You have those demons inside your head because you live a certain life for so long that it's hard to shake, you know. But yeah, man, Sam, he lived and he tussled with that thing for 20-some years, man. And then I heard he had passed, man. When I heard he had passed, man, it's like, you know, most dudes that had been locked up a long time and knew him well, man, you know, they felt that in their heart, man, because you was actually around a real live warrior, a gladiator, you know, that had no chink in his armor. You was dealing with something that was, you know, forced to be reckoned with at all times, man. So salute, man, and shout out to Big Sam Pitts, man, aka The Rock. May, you know, he rest in peace, man. But anybody who watching this video who did time in the Virginia penal system, especially a lot of time, shout out to y'all, because y'all know who Sam is. Y'all know his legend, and y'all know what's true and what's not. So this is real, true story, true facts here. And there's a lot more stories I can tell you about Sam, man. Some y'all may not want to hear, but that's just a little bit about Sam Pitts, man, penitentiary legend, you know. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this story, man, and I'll be back with some more if y'all are interested in this type of stories right here, because I know all types of characters that I've ran across in prison, characters I've done time with, dudes I've met, some of them, you know, that you would definitely want to know or hear about, man, because it's just some amazing people, amazing stories, amazing experiences you experience when you are inside those walls, man, that y'all actually can't see, but it's actually happening right now as we speak, you know. And I talk to people in prison every day still, and there's some characters in there, man, and it's some things in there, and there's some talent in there, man. It's a lot of things in there, man, that the world might not ever get to see, but there's a lot of things in there also too that the world is missing and the world might need. So with that being said, man, I hope y'all got something out of this story. I hope y'all keep on supporting, and I hope y'all keep on rocking with me, man. We're gonna keep on going, and I'm gonna put out more of these videos and other videos. I got more videos to come, adventures that I'm going on. I'm gonna try showing y'all some of my first timers, things that I do for the first time since I've been out here after 33 years. And any other type of videos that y'all want to get from me, the content that y'all want, hit me in the comments and let me know, man, and we'll see if we can work it out. We all in this together. We trying to, you know, move forward. We trying to build these numbers up so we can spread this positivity all over, this love. And like I say, in every lesson there is a blessing, you know. And the blessing in this lesson is, man, even though Sam, you know, was who he was, man, he still had a kind heart, you know, and I can say that from experience. I knew him personally. He did have a kind heart, although he had a vicious, no-nonsense side. That was what he had to do to be who he had to be. And, you know, those were his demons that he had to deal with. But at the same time, man, when you in a certain situation, you have no other way to respond but besides to do what you feel you have to do to survive. And I guess that's what he did. He did what he had to do to survive. But the lesson is, man, your mind is the strongest thing that you have on your body. And whatever you tell that, whatever you feed that, that's what is going to come out in your life. So feed your mind, man. You can build your body up and all of that looks good, but you have to feed that mind, and you have to tell yourself who you are, what you want to be, and where you want to go. And when you put that in your head, man, can't nobody stop you and can't nobody change you. Only person can change this is you. They can change your physical location, your body can change, your appearance can change. Only person can change your mind is you. So, you know, be who you are and believe in who you are, and everything else will follow that direction that you're taking it in. So, salute to all the soldiers out there that's still doing time. Salute to all of my family members. Team Banky Pound forever. I love y'all. Y'all be safe out there. Be smart. Make good decisions. I'll see you in a minute. Peace.
The bacon special.
Yeah.
Pure deliciousness.
Pure deliciousness, man. My name is Banky, man. Everybody calls me Banky. That's the name that I got from my grandmother when I was young. I'm coming out here after 30 years. Yeah, I ain't got nothing, but I'm gonna have something because I'm rich in personality, you know, and I'm rich in love. My family love me, and that's really all that counts.